Hi, this is part three, episode three of Green Couch Conversations. I'm your host, Tiffany Bayman, and today we're going to talk about Black History Month, the significance of HBCUs in the Divine Nine, and how ERGs play an important role in fostering an inclusive workplace. Let's jump back into the discussion. All right, Gina, I have not picked on you at all this whole session. We went light, but I want to pivot our conversation again to ERGs. And so you're a leader in one of the oldest ERGs, the network. You got, is it 50 years strong? Is it now
52 this year? 52.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So can you explain what the network organization is and what it isn't?
Yes. So definitely, it's the whole conversation we've had so far is just been building up to, right, where the network came from, Black history and, HBCUs and even the Divine Nine kind of, for me, feels like it all kind of played a role. But the network is a 501c3 organization. We have almost 10,000 members made up across the United States, all AT&T active and retired employees. And then for those of us who have kids and relatives that we pull in and they volunteer as well, we are the oldest employee-based organization in the AT&T family. We started out, of course, back in 1969, and there was a reason. Black history is ingrained in everything that we do. There was a reason why we created this organization, because there was a need for African Americans to have a place, create a space to be able to be developed in the corporate world. And so, in short, that's kind of where it was born from as well. We really wanted to just kind of focus and showcase and make sure that we are putting our best foot forward, that we're putting our people, our culture in the position to succeed and be successful in the corporate world, and then reach back in the community and help as well. So that being said, just most recently, we've had a few names, right, over the past 52 years, but in 2016, to better align with our integrated vision and solutions, which I'll talk about in a moment, we changed our name from Community Network African American Telecommunication Professionals to now the Network of Black Integrated Communication Professionals. So in 2019, we celebrated 50 years, and I think, I can't remember, I didn't actually meet you guys at the anniversary celebration, but I think Tiffany and George, you guys, were you able to be at the celebration?
I was there.
So you guys know, it was phenomenal. I don't think I've ever been to anything in my whole entire life, just that was so amazing, and just on the scale of excellence that was portrayed there. I will take those memories with me forever. I've never been more proud to be a part of such an amazing organization. So with that being said, a little bit about our mission. We are transforming our future by empowering our members and our community today. It goes right in hand with our vision to become the premier leader in providing growth and opportunity through sustainable programs that build future generational leaders within the industry and the community. So we have a lot of our energy focused on talent development, personal development, community outreach from that perspective. Even so, our energy and focus is such that the O that you guys see that's represented in the network is from a Ghanaian Adinkra symbol pronounced Faye Sa Wusuban. That means transformation or change. So we are really just dedicated to making sure that we are impacting real and meaningful change in our community and in our people, and at AT&T and beyond in the corporate world.
Okay, so you have a program or an acronym. What does BREATHE represent for the organization?
BREATHE. Oh my goodness. So I'm kind of wearing one of my shirts today. I don't know how well you guys can see, but it says "Ask me how I breathe." But I'd be remiss not to kind of give you a little bit of background on it at first as to how we arrived at this. So many of you know and had the privilege of knowing my friend and late CEO, Latia Taylor. She had a quote when we were in the planning of the 2019 50th year celebration. We were thinking about a theme, what's the theme going to be? When we really think about the network in the past 50 years, what is that thought? What do we want to walk away from? And part of that was standing on our legacy. And it kind of spilled over into, it was standing on our legacy, disrupting the future. And our 2019 theme for the organization ended up being standing on our legacy, fighting for equality. So Latia said, the quote that she said, what does that mean? She said, continuing to stand together and to strengthen one another as we forge forward, being present in our communities. And so when we think about that and just what does that mean? How do we do that? Legacy Talks was born. It was incorporated through our already existing Cafe Conversations, which obviously we love acronyms at AT&T and just in general organizations. So Cafe stands for Call to Action for Everyone. And so this is how we implemented LT or Legacy Talks, birthed from the talks that all of us, African American or people of color, are really used to having that discussion about the skin that you're in and what that means to the outside, to people looking at you, how they're going to appear, how we can share that information that is spoken but unspoken manner. Like we know, it's kind of like that head nod thing, that we kind of do, that we have. It's just an unspoken words and gestures and things. And so we thought with Legacy Talks, we really need to open up and share that information with people who are not like us so that they can get an understanding and become an ally and really, truly understand. And I think that Breathe came out of just everything with, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, the list goes on, unfortunately. But that commemoration really just said, okay, it's now or never. So Breathe is be proud of who you are, reach the masses with your voice, educate people, anticipate and negate, teach your tribe, hold firm to the cause, and examine your actions. And if we all take a minute to breathe, then we make sure that we are impacting and continuing to impact meaningful change and sharing our stories in a safe space and building those allies, creating that understanding that we need to help us get to the next level, whether it is in our communities, whether it is in our corporate life, or just even expanding out into the world. We have to do that. And so that's where, in a nutshell, right, where Breathe kind of comes from.
Okay, I want to go back and revisit that head nod thing. So clue me in. Everyone else but me knows what you're talking about. And I don't want to do that wrong.
No. It's just one of those things, kind of specific to our culture where you don't have to say. It's like you're in a room, it's like, and I see you, kind of sort of, if I could just say it like that. It's just like when Naira was mentioning and going into the room and you're looking for all the people who look like you, the acknowledgement of I see you is just, okay. So we see each other and we can connect kind of out. So that's it. That's all. Nothing, just a little another nugget how we connect.
I want to be looking for that. I want to be looking.
I'll be sure and give you the head nod, Tiffany. I'll make sure.
Exactly.
Now you have to give it back, Tiffany. You have to give it back.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it wrong. And say, you got that wrong, Bayman. Okay. All right. So I do want to, so there's many ERGs, Gina. And so, and their purpose is to represent diversity in thought. And so, just because we have ERGs, it hasn't necessarily led to diversity in leadership. And so I want to spend some time on that. So are there any specific programs that the network is participating in to help with a leadership conversation?
Yes, so we have a few things that are kind of in the works that we're still kind of building. on, but a little bit about what we can share that's been kind of concrete right now is the EGs definitely, and more importantly, or also in conjunction with AT&T executive leaders, recognize there's more work. We need to do more. There's opportunity, and we need to figure out how to best seize it. As we talked about just over this conversation about the talent, right? In HBCUs, we want to be more diverse, and not just this is for everyone, everybody of color, or we want to just make sure that AT&T in general is diverse. So how do we do that? One of the ways we had a conversation, all of the national EG leaders were able to sit down and have a meeting with Jeff McElfresh and Angela Sansone for AT&T, and really just talk about that very question that you're asking. We know that there's talent. We work with these people every day. EGs really do give you an opportunity to not necessarily showcase your talent, but to recognize that talent in others. And so with the network, since we really do focus on talent development and growing personal development and just helping people to be better, to be prepared for when those jobs come on, it was very fitting for us to be able to work directly with AT&T leadership to come up with a leadership development program that really recognizes or takes the talent that we see that's working within the various ERGs or EGs, and how to grab those people, how to cultivate them. So we're in the process of working with the executives on, we've already established a committee to kind of put together what the guidelines look like, how we're going to really see this through and make sure that it does everything that we want to incorporate with diversity and inclusion. But for the network, a little bit more of that, just focusing on our or AT&T's connection, as well as our connection with HBCUs, finding that talent. So we are partnering with AT&T with HR area of our business unit in creating a mentoring program that we are working on, where we actually go out and we're going to, at the HBCU colleges, we'll partner them with someone that works right at AT&T. Using the network, of course, we want to use all of our HBC alums, as I think Sharon was mentioning earlier, as an opportunity to be able to do that. So we kind of go, okay, HBCU alums that are, work for AT&T, okay, HBCU new students, come on, we'll put you together and work at that program. And so hopefully, right, they come to work for AT&T. And during this period, there is a year transition where it's like a peer-to-peer situation, happening and mentoring, getting you acclimated to AT&T and how to function and joining over, hopefully, with the network as well. And then after that year, you kind of move over into the mentoringship with the network, where you're then paired with an executive and, to kind of help you and put you in that position, give you the tools that you need, talk to you, share, be your advisor, teaching everybody to develop your own board of directors, right? The people that are going to sponsor you, your champions, to put you in a position that when these jobs become available, that you are sought out, like they're looking for you. And so hopefully the plan is, and I know, AT&T is committed to do so, so I'm super excited about what's to come. We're going to be able to take those programs and bridge it with the new leadership development program that we're working on to really make sure that talent comes through and shines, and we're able to elevate and really create diversity in, greater numbers, for sure.
Hey, Tiffany.
That's good. Yeah, George.
Could I just build build off of what Gina's mentioning? I really compliment Gina and her team and the work that they're doing there. I literally just received my email to that last week and was excited to see that come across. And I think what Gina is saying is so critical, because just that opportunity, just how to have the conversation, how to get exposure is so critical in terms of getting those opportunities and building a diverse pipeline and just getting a foot in the door. And a lot of times, it's for lack of not knowing where the talent is, but also I think I love what John said earlier in the segment. It's also about being intentional. And I think this is that opportunity to be intentional about identifying opportunities to connect executives with that talent, but also giving them a little bit of that exposure and coaching that gives them that foundation to be competitive, to be able to go and compete for those jobs. And none of us would be where we are if there weren't people who helped us along the way to be developed and to know how to interact or how to get things done the right way and just how to navigate. And so I'm really excited about what Gina just mentioned and just the opportunity to be able to participate, because I think it certainly lays a good foundation to increase that pipeline of talent to continue through out the organization to build into higher levels of management.
I think that's great. Is that tied to the HBCU Founders Program? Are those similar, or is this another program?
This is another this is another.
Which is great. And so I think it goes to, there are several initiatives that are underway, but I sense there's a skepticism. And so I just kind of want to get your point of view. Anybody can respond to this on how we're doing. So I'll give you a couple of examples of where I think we're making progress. So for me specifically, I've seen a change in the interview process, the whole kind of recruitment process. So those that work with me know I recently hired a chief of staff. And I can say that prior to this process being in place, he probably wouldn't have made it through round one in the old process. And I'll tell you why. I did ask him permission, so he knows I'm talking about him today. So in the old process, you would get your list of candidates that applied. You'd look through them. You'd have a good pool, and which I would say, as someone who's trying to move fast and hire someone quickly, 3 or 4 people, that's good. That's a good mix of folks. I'll go in. Well, the new process was you get your candidate list, and you're going to interview 8 people, Tiffany. And I know you're good with these 4, but you're going to interview these 8. And the 8 was a diverse roster of male, female, ethnicity, diversity of experience. And what I found, the other thing is everyone gets the same set of questions. So there's no bias. You have to ask everyone the same set of questions and provide a score. And what I found was, when I went through the process the first time, I probably wouldn't have interviewed him in the old process, but because I sat down and I talked to him and asked him the same questions as everyone else, his experience that wasn't necessarily on the resume started to come out. And the fact that he didn't have marketing experience suddenly didn't matter. He started to introduce things that were talent and experiences outside of my organization that I could see would add value by having them. And so that process was significant for me in kind of creating a shift on how talent is selected. So for me, I think it's a big deal. And I would have discounted his lack of experience, and instead, I think the organization is benefiting greatly for the different experience. So that's one area where I actually see it at work. And I've been through 2 hires recently, and the process is consistent. The second thing is there is a mentoring program. I have a mentor that was assigned probably mid-year. The site's actually up and running. It's mentoring by AT&T. It's actually being redeveloped to be more modern. And I think based on the information I have, it's going to relaunch in March. So people are currently in an active mentoring and mentor or mentoree situation today. I think there'll be a new kind of revised process that's coming soon that everyone can apply for again. So I see efforts around mentoring that I'm personally connected to. I've been learning about the HBCU Founders Program, the Acceleration Program, which one is a mentoring program for interns, where employees will have the opportunity, particularly if you're from an HBCU, you can apply to be a mentor for interns that are coming from HBCUs. So that's an opportunity that's coming. There's a little bit about that on Insider, and then there's an acceleration program, which I think has a lot of merit as we not just look for future talent within our business, but also for future retail owners. So I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. Learning about all that's out there is the struggle, I think. And so I just know what I know. Are there other things? I mean, Gina, you just brought a new program to light. Is there anything else that you all have heard about that we want people to be aware of or to be out on the lookout for?
The one thing I'll pop in, Tiffany, to your point is being intentional about opportunities. And again, with me just walking into my role, you mentioned interns and internship opportunities. And, you know, a lot of us get the opportunity to have interns for various parts of the summer. And one of the things that I was intentional about was making sure that of my pool of candidates, I wanted to see of my pool of interns, I specifically wanted to know how many of those interns were, like, for instance, there's a program called Inroads. And I know even while at Cricket, we had some Inroads interns. And, you know, it turned out with my organization, we didn't have any Inroads interns. And it was a program personally that I had come up through. You know, I know a lot of leaders within AT&T, Corey Anthony, a lot of other folks, Harbin Williams, other folks had been through that same program. And it is a premium that the company pays, but at the same time, it is worth the investment because it's investing in talent, diverse talent. And so that's another opportunity where we as leaders can be intentional to say, you know what, yes, this is going to impact a portion of my my budget or what have you. It's the right thing to do to make sure that I've got the right mix, as you mentioned, in terms of thoughts being brought to the table and experience being gained by those. So just Inroads, that's another opportunity to, you know, also make sure that we as leaders are influencing, you know, our internship process.
I think that's really important because I have not been intentional about the interns. I'll say I'd like to. And so I think that's good to know the options that are out there so we can be more thoughtful and more involved in the process. So I think that's important. So I've kept you all together and I could just keep going on and asking you more questions. Do you think we're making progress here on these issues?
Yeah, Tommy, I know we're kind of short for time, but one of the things I thought about when you said that was just we have a tendency just in life to get uncomfortable and then do just enough to get back comfortable, and then we can just kind of relax. So when I think about us making sure that we're doing enough, making sure that there's not more work to be done, I always try to think, and you know, for myself personally, is just in moving forward. If I'm comfortable, there's something else. It's time to move forward. And so for AT&T and Cricket and all the other companies, if you feel like, oh yeah, we're doing enough, we've done, then that's the cue for you to kick it up and start again. Keep going, because you can't, if you get comfortable, nothing gets accomplished, nothing gets done when you're comfortable, because it's comfortable. So just get uncomfortable, stay uncomfortable.
No, I agree with that sentiment, Gina. I think, you know, get used to being uncomfortable because that's how progress is made. And we are making the right steps forward. I just went through that interview process and bringing on Iracema on our team. You know, we were intentional about hiring Hispanic PR lead on our team. But I do believe we have to be mindful that when we talk about diversifying our leadership and creating those opportunities, that we don't always have to mention training and education in those same sentences, because there are people ready right now. They just need the opportunity. And I just want to make sure that we don't always have to mention that we have to train up somebody. We just have to open those doors.
And can I add something to this outside of the business? This goes down to the individual. You have to own what you want. You own what you want. So if you have a desire and you see a path forward that you would like to follow, then you have to own that. That means picking up the phone or whatever it takes to ask that person on that path to be your mentor, not wait to be asked, or hopefully that someone would recognize you, or let me just, if I do this job enough, that I'll be rewarded. Well, you'll end up doing that, and frustrating yourself along the way. um, I've always reached out and asked to be mentored. Will you be my mentor? This is why I'm selecting you, and I need your help. Those three, those words right there, I need your help, are to me the most powerful words that one can use in career development. So all of the things I've heard today are great. There are great channels to go through, but you have to own where you want to be and not necessarily sit back and wait for it to get there. And I heard Reverend Jesse Jackson give a speech once, and when in this speech he said these words, and when he said them, I thought, oh my goodness, that's the code. He said that excellence and effort will always lose to access and inheritance. Being good is just the baseline, but being able to develop the relationships you need to open the doors you want open requires you to make the effort to work as hard on your relationships as you do it on the task of the job. Building relationships is a full-time, it's a full-time effort. It's 24/7, 365. So if there's somewhere you want to go or position you want to have, go ask for the help to get there. And I will guarantee you, in owning your career, you'll certainly build the career you want.
I want to add to that.
Tiffany,
That was really good.
I just wanted to point something out, though, that you shared some key success stories and things to let us know the needle is moving. And I think one thing that we have to think about is continuously praising progress, making sure that we don't get comfortable. Gina talked about it, but also as we're sharing, whether it's in conversation in our town halls, things like that, that we're continuing to share the steps, whether it's the small steps, one step at a time, how the process has changed, the continuous change, and that we're continuing to acknowledge that we have opportunity and that we're in a growth mode. I think all of those will allow us all to make sure that we're listening, being heard, but also understanding that we are making those efforts. Because sometimes I think the efforts are being made, but if we're not talking about them or sharing them, then people can feel either that it's stagnant, stuck, or maybe hopeful, but not necessarily sure that it's actually being acknowledged and being done. So I would just say that I think our big opportunity, in addition to all of these things, is to continue to share these successes and keep listening as well.
I think that's great advice. Well, I'm going to let that be the last word today. I just want to say thank you to everyone for spending so much time with me today and having this discussion on several really important topics. I learned a lot. I hope that you had some fun, and I just appreciate you sharing this dialogue with me. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Green Couch.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.